Hey, Akim. Shalom, shalom to the nation of Israel. Back at it again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah. All praise to Yahweh Shem Shah. All praise to Yahweh Shem Shah. All praise, honor, glory go to our power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah, Ba'ashem Kodash. Shout out to the elders, the elder apostles, and the elder bishops that rule. And salutations to the fellow Akim that labor on the apostle doctrine. To your brother Kodash and Na. And to the men, women, and children that still believe, to you I say shalom. Right? It's your brother Quadashana back at it again with another quick lesson. Lord willing, is edifying, straight to the point. And the title of the lesson is "The Least of the Flock Shall Draw Them Out." And when you read the precept here in Jeremiah 50 and 45, it's basically concerning the catalyst or the reason, or how another way of saying it is the spark that's gonna bring out World War III. Basically, the least of the nations, right? The least of the flock, right? Which is speaking about Israel, the land of Israel, right? Is gonna bring in World War III. Is gonna be the spark or the reason behind World War III, right? And because when you read this here, right, Israel, and it's been covered recently that Israel is shooting missiles into Israel shot missiles in Iran, right? And Iran got ICBMs. So Iran is not going to just sit there and allow Israel to continue shooting, you know what I'm saying? Just keep shooting, firing missiles without no retaliation. Eventually, Iran is going to shoot back at Israel, and Israel, because they allied with the U.S., they're going to get support from the U.S., right? And then in turn, that's going to spark Iran to turn to their allies. You see what I'm saying? So the least of the flock is going to draw them out. So let's read into it, and we'll go from there, right? This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 45. It says, "Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, that he have taken against Babylon." So this is not speaking about ancient Babylon, right? Because when the prophet Jeremiah received this word from the Lord, this was during the time of ancient Babylon. However, this wasn't speaking about ancient Babylon. The word prophecies mean to say beforehand, right? So this was talking about the future, okay? So this wasn't talking about ancient Babylon. This was talking about modern day Babylon, right? When you go into Isaiah 47 chapter, I'm going to bring this up real quick to show you that when you see a lot of prophecies talk about Babylon, it's not talking about ancient Babylon. A lot of the prophecies deal with modern day Babylon, which is America. All right. Now let me show you in Google real quick. Let me show you Google, right? Let me see if they didn't take this down, because sometimes they hide this information, you know, so they'll take certain definitions and words out from the algorithm. But let me see. Let me see if I could phrase this right. I didn't phrase it right. Let me see. See how they hiding it now? Yeah, they hiding it. Yeah, they hid it. And I said this earlier. I just said this. They was gonna hide the information because they don't want you to make the connection that Babylon the Great is America. But it is. It is. You know. Let me see if I could because it was one definition that said that, but yeah, they took it down. They took it down. Yeah, they took it down. Yeah. But they had it on Google one time, and the elders covered it. The elder apostles, the elders of the great millstone, they basically covered, how Babylon, how Google algorithm, Babylon the Great was, they identified America as Babylon the Great, but they took it down. And the reason why they do that is to suppress the truth and to hide the information, because they don't want you to figure out that Babylon the Great is America, because once you see that, then you will understand the prophecies regarding Babylon the Great, aka America. You will understand a little better about the judgments. You get what I'm trying to say? So they're trying to basically hide the truth. So certain things like definitions, words, they taking out of their algorithm because they don't want people to know. They want people to stay ignorant. But Babylon the Great is America, okay? And what you're reading here in Jeremiah, in Jeremiah 50 and 45, this Babylon is not, what it says Babylon is not talking about ancient Babylon, because ancient Babylon, if you know the history, it was overtaken by the Medes and the Persians, okay? So this was speaking about ancient Babylon, but it's talking about modern Babylon, which is America, all right? Continuing on, it says, and his purposes that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldeans, okay? So, which is, again, modern Babylon. That's not talking about ancient Babylon. Okay? That's not talking about ancient Babylon. That's talking about modern day Babylon. All right? Because this is projecting the future. All right? This is future prophecy. Okay? Let me go to Isaiah. Let me show you in Isaiah 45. No, 47. Because this is speaking about look at this here. It's Isaiah chapter 47 verse 1. It says, come down and sit in the dust. So that means be brought low, right? The dust is talking about a state of confusion. You see what I'm saying? A low state. O virgin daughter of Babylon. So this place, this daughter, it said the virgin daughter of Babylon. Why is it called a virgin daughter of Babylon? Because it says, sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. And the meaning of tender and delicate, meaning like it's basically favored amongst the nations. Like America is that golden city. Look, people would call this place the greatest nation on the planet Earth at one time. Everybody wanted to go to America. Everybody looked at America as a place where their dreams and hopes could be fulfilled, where they could live a better life. That's why, people considered America the great, at one time, not no more, but at one time they considered it the greatest nation on the earth. But now, that's not the case. But look what the scripture is saying here in Isaiah 47 and 1. It says the daughter of Babylon, right? Because like a daughter, you have the mother first. So then the mother brings off the offspring, which is called the daughter, right? So the mother, right? In this case, the one that came before will be ancient Babylon. So when it says, "Oh, virgin daughter of Babylon," it's talking about the map. It's talking about the nation that will come after, modern day Babylon. Okay, and so what is modern day Babylon? America. So when it says, "Oh, virgin daughter of Babylon," it's talking about America. Sit on the ground. See what I'm saying? Be brought low. Be brought into a state of confusion. So modern day Babylon, which is America, is going to be brought into a state of confusion. It's going to be brought very low. All right. And this is the will of the Lord. Okay. It says, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. Okay. Which are your modern day Babylonians, which are your so-called Americans, man. All right. So again, this verse is not talking about ancient Babylon or the ancient Chaldeans. It's talking about modern day Babylon and your modern day uh, Chaldeans, which are you Americans, man. All right, you Babylonians. Okay, this place won't be called that great city, the greatest nation on the planet Earth, because the Lord gonna bring it low. Lord gonna bring it very low. It won't be favored and loved amongst the nations, basically. But I just want to show you that when you see here, daughter of Babylon, old daughter of the Chaldeans, it's talking about modern day Babylon, which is America. It's not talking about ancient Babylon, because ancient Babylon is not gonna receive this judgment. That's why I said, "Oh, virgin daughter of Babylon." Why? Because modern day Babylon haven't received the judgment yet that the Lord had for it. You see what I'm saying? Virgin, when you go into the blue letter for virgin, it means a young maiden or a woman that's been untouched. So regarding the judgment, is speaking about America, modern day Babylon, being untouched by the judgment of the Lord. It hasn't received this judgment yet, because the scriptures tell you that America is going to go out by way of fire. All right, so it hasn't received that judgment yet. So that's why it's still a virgin in that sense. The Lord hasn't really, he's shaking this place up, but he hasn't really touched it yet. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't delivered that destruction that's been promised in the scriptures, and we're gonna show you that, right? Let me show you that real quick. So when it says "old daughter of Babylon, old daughter of the Chaldees," it's talking about modern day Babylon, which is America, and the word Babylon means land of confusion. By the way, Revelation 18, right? And this chapter here in Revelation 18 is talking about modern day Babylon, America. Okay, it's not talking about ancient Babylon, because ancient Babylon been conquered by the Medo Persians. Okay, so it's not talking about ancient Babylon. So why would, again, when you read it in the book of Revelation about Babylon, the great mystery Babylon, that's talking about America, right? Which is the modern day Babylon. See what I'm saying? Which is considered modern day Babylon, because a lot of the Babylonian customs and position and pride that the ancient Babylonian empire had, America shares, man. A lot of the cultures and wickedness that was in ancient Babylon, America shares, man. So America is revived as that modern day Babylon, man. America is modern day Babylon. Okay, so in Revelation 18, it's talking about modern day Babylon, America, because ancient Babylon, because these visions that the Apostle John put together in the book of Revelations, he received it in the island of Patmos, okay, in the salt mines, right, while he was serving his while he was serving his sentence in the island of Patmos on the salt mines, So this is during the Roman Empire, right? During the Roman, when we was under the Romans. So, by this time, ancient Babylon, it's been a while since, like ancient Babylon been fell. So this judgment is not talking about ancient Babylon. It wouldn't make sense to be extensive about ancient Babylon judgment when we know, if you did the research on the history, that ancient Babylon fell by being overpowered by the Medo Persians. See what I'm saying? The Medo Persians conquered and took over, what was once the Babylonian Empire. They took it over, So it's not speaking on ancient Babylon, but modern day Babylon. So this is Revelation chapter 18 and I get to the point, 8. I read verse 7. It says, verse 7, how much she have glorified herself. And also too, America, the scriptures the Lord calls this place Babylon, right, the great, because it's because this place resembles ancient Babylon. A lot of the customs and cultures and way of life that was in ancient Babylon is being practiced in America, man. So the Lord views this place as modern day, as a modern day version of Babylon. You know what I'm saying? That's why the scriptures call it Babylon the Great, old daughter of the Chaldees, old virgin daughter of Babylon. No, Slakia, yeah, old virgin daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great, mystery Babylon, because this is modern day Babylon, you know? So a lot of the same wicked ways and customs of ancient Babylon is being practiced here, right? So this is Revelation 18:7. How much shall Salakia, how much she have glorified herself. So that's pride. So the ancient Babylonians were a very proud people, man. They had high levels of pride. So America shares in that fate. Americans are very proud, man. And a lot of nations hate Americans because one of the reasons because of that pride, man. They think they stuff don't stink. They carry that pride with them, you know. So this is a very proud nation, just like ancient Babylon. It says, how much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. Right. So you got a nation that's proud, that have lived very well, that hasn't really gone through any real struggles, any real hardships. Like America ain't been through no famine, ain't been through no famine, no third world country problems. I could put it that way because I can't name them all, but America hasn't really went through any issues that you would see in third world countries. So it lived, Americans for the most part live very comfortably when you compare it to the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying? They live very comfortably. A lot of the struggles and issues that other third world countries and other poor countries have, they don't it's not they don't face here in America, man. So Americans have lived very comfortably, you know what I'm saying? Very sheltered and very comfortable, right? It's not so recently that so-called Americans, these Babylonians, modern day Babylonians, they starting to feel the pressures, the economic pressures, right? Because now now Babylon the Great is falling. Okay, the money is failing, right? The institutions is failing, the support and resources is failing. The society is crumbling. That's where all of this quality of life is kind of like, lack of better words, is downgraded. The quality of life, because this place is falling apart. So things are getting more expensive. And it's getting harder and harder to survive because America society is crumbling. Okay. Continue on, it says, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she have said in her heart, I sit a queen and no widow and shall see no sorrow. So you have this nation that believes that they'll never go through a famine, or they'll never have any like major outbreaks or pestilences, or a nation that never think that they'll never be defeated in war. A nation that believes that their military technology, their education system, their medical science is the greatest in the world. Because this nation, which is modern day Babylon, right? America is very proud, man. Very proud. Okay, so now the Lord has judgment reserved for this place, Babylon the Great America. He gonna bring this place low, very low. Okay, gonna bring this place low, and eventually, the Lord's gonna have this place, America, Babylon the Great, destroyed by fire. All right, it's gonna tell you that in verse 8. It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. So see, these are all the death, mourning, famine. These are all the struggles that most people face in third world countries. So now America gonna have third world countries problems on their doorstep, things that they never faced before, like people starving to death. You know what I'm saying? Like that's unheard of in America. You never seen an average American, ribs touching. You know what I'm saying? They rib touching their stomach, man. You never seen nothing like that here in Babylon the Great. You know what I'm saying? Like like unless it's like a domestic abuse type of case, you don't see that among a modern American. Modern Americans. These Americans, man, they plump. You know what I'm saying? They obese. They plump. They eat to their heart's content. You know what I'm saying? They live in pleasures. So you never really ever see, Americans just starving from hunger. Like, you don't see that. You know what I'm saying? And mourning too, because now you're gonna see what people are losing their jobs, they're losing their livelihoods, even losing their families. Families are being broken apart now. Because these Americans was always in a mirth and happy spirit, in a joyous spirit, but now they're mourning. See what I'm saying? In death, because now the death is increasing. You know what I'm saying? Through different outbreaks, diet. The diet is getting worse. The food is getting bad. Diet is probably maybe the major kill. Maybe diet is one of the major killers for the modern day, Americans, Babylonians, is the diet, man. And now it's gonna be, also too, the pestilent diseases, stress. Another major killer for modern day American is stress too. So now that mortality rate going up, depression and despair is gonna be going up, and famines is gonna hit this country soon. So all these third world country problems that you will see in other poor countries are gonna face America, because America is gonna be soon a poor country. It's gonna be broke. Hyperinflation gonna rise, the dollar's gonna collapse. You know what I'm saying? These things are gonna happen. And people are not prepared and they're not ready. And they're gonna lose their mind. They're already losing their mind now, because you got evictions rising. You got people who can't pay for their rent. You got people that probably can only pay for their rent and they can't buy, miscellaneous things. They can't buy groceries. They can't buy they can't go out and have fun with their friends or family, and that is putting more pressure, more stress, and making them more depressed. And what do people do? They use drugs and alcohol as an outlet to kind of as a solution for this problem. They're gonna be turning more to drugs and alcohol, which is not good. It's gonna make everything worse. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So a lot of these third world country problems going to be on America's doorstep, and people going to lose their minds. They're already losing their minds now. Right? Continuing on, it says, and shall be utterly, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and shall be utterly burnt with fire, for strong is the Lord power who judgeth her. Who is the her? Babylon the Great, America, man. So the Lord judgment for this place is to be destroyed by fire. We just read it. So America's going to be destroyed by way of fire. But how the fire is going to come is how the fire is going to come. We're going to read it here, right? It's going to come by way of World War III, because when these nations shoot their missiles when the tensions between the nations is high, and and the hatred for America is at a very high, that hatred of America is going to be very great. They're going to shoot their ICBMs at this place and destroy it. And that's how it's going to be destroyed by way of fire, through the other nations, shooting their ICBM missiles at this place too. Let's read it again. Jeremiah 50 and 45. Therefore he, the counsel of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shah, that he have taken against Babylon and his purposes. So this is the Lord's will at the end of the day. This is what the Lord has planned for America, Babylon, which is called in the scriptures Babylon the Great. Okay. Continuing on, it says that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. What do you mean draw them out? The other nations. Okay. Who's the least of the flock is speaking about? The land of Israel, right? Them Israelis, man, because they shooting at Iran, and Iran gonna shoot back, and eventually America's not gonna stand by and let Israel get attacked. So they're gonna support Israel and fight against them Iranians, and then Iranians is then gonna call their allies, right, to fight against America and Israel. And then America is going to get their reinforcements, which is NATO and the EU, and that's how World War III is going to take place. Because right now we at the doorstep. World War III is on our doorstep. You know what I'm saying? It could, it's really right around the corner. It's right at the doorstep. You know, it could really pop off at any time. I won't be surprised if they say on the news, "Oh, we in World War III now," and they just institute a draft. You know what I'm saying? Like, not institute because they've been instituted, but they start moving forward with the draft because, it's really right at the door. It's right. If you paying attention to the news and you understand prophecy, it's right at the door. World War III is right at the door. Like, it could happen at any week now. Because Israel shooting at Iran is gonna spark everything up. And then Iran is gonna shoot back at Israel, then the US is gonna intervene and support Israel like they did with Ukraine. Right? Russia was attacking Ukraine. What did America and the EU and NATO and the EU do? They supported Ukraine. Supplying it with weapons, supplying it with medical goods, with medicine, weapons. You know what I'm saying? Money. They was funding the Ukraine, helping Ukraine fight against the Russians, man. NATO, America and NATO and the EU. They were supporting Ukraine to fight against the Russians. And it's gonna be the same process. America, NATO, and the EU, they're gonna support Israel to fight against Iran. And then Iran is gonna and Iran and their allies, because Iran is also gonna look for reinforcements from their allies, and that's how World War III is gonna happen. You're gonna have different nations in conflict. You know what I'm saying? And who sparked the conflict? Who sparked World War III? Who sparked all these nations to start fighting against each other? Israel, because Israel is firing at Iran. See what I'm saying? And then Iran is gonna counter back at Israel, and then Israel is eventually gonna call in the support of the U.S. and then Iran is gonna eventually call in support of their allies, and then the U.S. is gonna call support of what? NATO and the EU, their allies. So that's how all these nations are gonna get drawn out. But when you look at it, it started with Israel. It started with Israel shooting at Iran. See what I'm saying? Israel. Again, it says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Right, drawing them out into what? Conflict, war. World War III is sparked by Israel. Israel actions is going to spark World War III. And we looking forward to that because that's prophecy. These are things that the Lord promised was going to happen. So we looking forward to prophecy being fulfilled, because we know once prophecy is fulfilled, our Lord Yahweh Shah is coming back, which it means the deliverance and salvation for the elect. Lord willing, we be of the elect. So we're looking forward to World War III. Right? Because we have hope and believe that, Lord, that we are of that elect. You know, Lord willing, we all are that number, as it is written, with prisoners of hope. So again, if you know these scriptures and you understand these words that I'm speaking and this truth, you're not going to be dreadful and afraid that World War III is imminent. You're going to be happy and excited because you understand that the word of the Lord is being fulfilled. Prophecies are being fulfilled. And you know that you're getting closer to salvation. You're getting closer to Yahweh Shai return. Because before Yahweh Shai can return, the prophecies have to be fulfilled. There's certain prophecies that have to be fulfilled. One of them is World War III. It has to kick off. Before our Lord returns, World War III has to kick off, man. You know what I'm saying? It has to kick off. Let me see here. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Psalms 112. Let me see. Is this 112? Yep. Psalms 112, verse 7. It says, he shall not be afraid of evil tidings. So evil tidings means news, bad news. So us, the hopeful elect, he is talking about the righteous, right? Those that believe on Yahweh Shema Shai, they're not going to be afraid of the news that World War III is imminent, because we put our faith and trust in Yahweh Shema Shai. We know the Lord is going to preserve us from that. We know the Lord, that's just prophecy being fulfilled. You know, we on the inside look. We on the inside looking outward. We know what's going on. Meaning, like we're informed. We know what's going on according to biblical prophecy. We know exactly what's going on. So we're not bugging out. We're not tripping as the world gonna do. Because people in the world, they're bugging out right now. They're tripping at the fact that World War III is imminent. You know what I'm saying? And it is. It's very imminent. Like I said, it's right at the door. It says, he shall not be afraid of evil tidings. His heart is fixed, trusting in the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai. So that's why he's not afraid, because he trusts in the Lord. So because we trust in Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, we're not bugging out and being just, anxious and panicking because we know World War III is imminent. We looking forward to it because we understand the prophecy. We understand that World War III has to happen before our Lord returns. Ultimately, it's a step towards salvation because, like I said, before Yahweh Shai returns, World War III have to kick off, man. It has to kick off. Okay, so we're not tripping about hearing bad news. The world would consider it bad news because what the world considers bad news, we look at it as good news. You know what I'm saying? We look at it as good news. It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. See? So what's going to happen? As Israel action is going to spark World War III, and all these different nations going to be in conflict with each other. And what's going to happen? They're going to shoot the nations that have a what you call a missile weapon program. They're going to shoot their ICBMs at America and at Israel. And that's going to create major destruction, mass destruction, great damage against the land of Israel, right? And the missiles is going to totally wipe out America. So it's going to be great damage on Israel, great damage and destruction, or the complete destruction of America. So World War III is going to totally wipe this place off. That's what we read in Revelation 18 and 8. He shall destroy her by fire. That's the judgment of the Lord. The Lord is going to use these ICBM missiles to shoot down America and then totally wipe it off the map. So all this is the Lord is using all of this conflict, using World War III, using Israel actions, ultimately to fulfill prophecy, man. To destroy this place. This place is going down, man. But the elect will be saved. The elect of the nation of Israel, you Israelites out there, man, so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans, and Israelite foreigners, if you be of the elect, man, the Lord's going to deliver us from the missiles, right? From thermonuclear destruction. The Lord's going to deliver the elect from that. You know what I'm saying? But everybody else, is they doomed, right? If the Lord don't, is not preserving you from that judgment, then you doomed. Let me see. I wanted to get. Let me see. Glittering sword. But let me get this too. Revelation. I'm gonna get Revelation 17 and 16. Because again, it's talking about this is highlighting the downfall of America, how it's going to end. Like basically, these scriptures is spoiling the movie. It's telling you how this place is going to end. It says Revelation chapter 17 and verse 16, and the 10 horns represent NATO and the EU, right? It's talking about the 10, the founding members of NATO and the EU, okay? Of NATO, Salakia, which is combined being NATO and the EU. It says, which thou sawest upon the beast, all right? The beast is the Roman Empire, Esau, Edom kingdom, okay? It says, these shall hate the whore. So NATO and the EU, the whore represent America. Why is America called a whore? Because America is one of the wickedest countries in the world. And not only that, it's a whore because it is basically been is defiled, all right? It's not only defiled, Innocent blood has been spilled here regarding like the Native Americans, going back to 1492, and slavery, you know what I'm saying? How our people was oppressed and was murdered here. And you had the Native Americans who was slaughtered, you know, pushed to the brink of extinction, but they still, they survived. They still here. You know what I'm saying? But they was pushed to the brink of extinction by the Edomites, and all the other evil. It's a whore because it's defiled, man. This is a very defiled land. And just like a whore is going to receive his judgment, because in the scriptures it tell you you're supposed to burn a whore. You know what I'm saying? Supposed to burn her up. Talking about it's double, a physical whore. You know what I'm saying? That was the judgment of the Lord. So this is the judgment that Babylon the Great is going to receive because it's so defiled. You know what I'm saying? Many nations came in this land, and just, America did a lot of wickedness. To put it simply, it did a lot of wickedness. It did a lot of wickedness on the earth. Did a lot of businesses with other nations. Did a lot of wickedness with other nations. And that's why it's a whore. Because it's greatly defiled. And just like a whore, it has many lovers. So America dealt with many nations to do a lot of evil on the earth, man. Many nations, man. Many nations. And now it's going to receive the judgment of a whore, which is to be burnt up. Okay? That's why this place is going to be destroyed by way of fire. It says in verse 16, and the 10 horns, which is NATO and the EU, which thou sawest upon the beast, right, which is Esau Edom kingdom, these shall hate the whore, right? The whore is Babylon the Great America, and shall make her desolate and naked, meaning wiped out, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So it's not talking about eating physical flesh. It's talking about leave her totally desolate, totally destroyed. NATO and the EU, they're gonna shoot all the NATO and the EU members that have their weapons programs. They're gonna shoot their missiles at America and burn this place. So American allies, which is NATO and the EU, they're gonna betray America and destroy it. Okay, this landmass that we're on, Babylon the Great America, will be destroyed. And they tell you that in the book of Obadiah 1:7, that the those that were confederate with thee, right, meaning that they once allies, because after World War II, when America launched that the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that brought fear upon the other nations, which pressured them into an agreement forming NATO. That's why so many nations was on board joining NATO, because they were afraid of America's military might and power. They was afraid of that bomb being dropped on them because they didn't have nothing like that at that time. But now that the nations are built up their military and they have, nuclear weapons and ICBMs and weapon programs, and their military got stronger over the period of these past few decades, they're not afraid of America anymore. They're not afraid of their nuclear weapons anymore. So now that the other nations have nuclear weapons and a strong military, they're going to use that. They're going to put the allies that America's with now, NATO and the EU, them allies, them nations are going to betray America, because them European nations, they hate Americans too. They hate this place. They hate Americans too, right? They're going to betray America and they're going to burn this place. They're going to shoot their missiles at this place, and this place is going to be desolate. It's going to be totally destroyed by way of fire. Everything going to be burnt up. This is the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 7. It says, all the men in that confederacy. So these are your allies, the ones that you formed an alliance with, right? Which is America formed an alliance with what? NATO and the EU. See what I'm saying? Those are America allies. All right, let's look at the word confederacy. For context, it says a league or alliance, especially Confederate states. So these are so NATO and the EU is who America is in league with. NATO and the EU is who America is aligned with. Okay, who have alliance with Slovakia, NATO and the EU. So it says all the men in that confederacy had brought thee even to the border. So these are the men that was with thee from the beginning, right? All these nations that was with NATO and the EU that aligned themselves with America, okay, from way back then, during the times of World War II. You know what I'm saying? Those nations that aligned themselves with America, which is NATO, and then later the EU, all right? It says the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, okay, and prevailed against thee. Right, because the only reason they were at peace with America because they was afraid of America, right? Is they hated America. These European nations, they hated America, but they joined with America because of their military might, man. Because once they dropped that bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it put America as a world superpower, and people was afraid of that type of power being turned against them. So Hiroshima and Nagasaki was an example of what will happen if you came against the Americans. So people was afraid and they joined in with NATO, right? Them nations that joined in with NATO, man, to be in alliance because they rather be a friend than an enemy. You know, as the saying goes, you can't beat them, join them. But now that the military, as it is written, thou art despised, to tell you that in verse 2, thou art despised among the nations. Thou art hated amongst the nations. So now let the weak now say that they are strong, loosely paraphrasing. So now that these nations, these other nations, they built up over the decades, they got their military stronger and they got their nuclear weapon programs. They're not afraid of America, man. And now they're in a position where they can strike because America is weak now. You know? Remember, a house divided against itself cannot stand. America is on a verge of civil war, and we can see that from the protests in LA, which sparked protests in Chicago, which sparked protests in New York City, you know what I'm saying, and other states, man. So all these protests are showing you that America is ready for a purge, that America is at the verge of a civil war, man. Is really on the verge of that. So if you have internal conflicts, like our Lord said, a nation divided against itself cannot stand. You know what I'm saying? That's a famous verse. A lot of people know that scripture, but they quote that scripture. You know what I'm saying? But that's what's going on. A nation divided cannot stand. See? That's scripture. Mark 3 and let me see right here. It says Mark 3 and 25. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. So America is divided against itself. Right? You got people that, are against the powers that be. They're not moving as one. And the LA protests, New York protests, Chicago protests show that. You know what I'm saying? Because what Trump is doing, the people are against it. You know what I'm saying? So all these conflicts and friction is showing you that America's on the verge of civil war. And the civil war is coming, man. It's really coming. That civil war is coming. You know what I'm saying? It's coming. Let me see. Verse 26. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. So, we at the end of Esau rulership, 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, for Esau is the end of the world, Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, loosely paraphrasing. So we at the end of Esau kingdom. We at the end of American dominance in the world. We are at the end of that. That's why these tensions are rising. That's why all these protests is going on. People are defiant against the powers that be. You know what I'm saying? There's tensions between, different groups. All of this is showing you that this Esau Edom kingdom, right, the capital being America, is falling apart. America is falling apart, man. America is decaying. It's on the decline. All right? That's why civil war is sparking up. Civil war is a clear sign that America's on the decline, man. That's what the LA process should show you, that America's on that decline. You know what I'm saying? America's on the decline. It's on its way out. So let's go back to Obadiah 1:7. And all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. That they that eat thy bread. So these are the ones that took all of America's advancement. You know, America like to throw supports with and resources. You know, America's always the first ones to allocate, you know, resources and support to different nations. The example was Ukraine, right? When the Ukrainians was in trouble, they was pouring in billions of dollars towards them. You know what I'm saying? So America was, you know, want to pouring money and resources to France and all these European nations. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? They now they in a position to basically express that hatred that they have for America, man. Because they hate America, man. America did all them filthy. You know, throughout all of Europe history, America did them filthy in some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? No matter what nation you choose, in history it shows America did them filthy. You know? So now they they're in a position and they have the power they have the power to basically take America down. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna take America out. They in the EU. They're gonna bring this. They're gonna bring this whole down. Continue on, says, prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is no understanding in him, man. So America, Babylon the Great, and that also tell you that the powers, you know, the president, DJ Trump, is not too freaking bright, because he's not gonna understand how NATO and the EU hate America so much, and why they're gonna seek America's destruction, man. And it's just evident because they it ultimately is prophecy, and also too because of that pride, man, and how in the injustice, the treatment that America showed the other nations, man. You know what I'm saying? The lack of respect. You know, the mistreatment, you know, that the lack of respect that America showed these other nations. You know, and America's these nations gonna come. They don't is gonna destroy America. You know, by way of fire, by way of them ICBM missiles, man. And, you know, expressing that hatred. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, look at the tariff war that DJ Trump put out. You know what I'm saying? That tariff war, it sparked. You know what I'm saying? That just show you how America, you know what I'm saying, try to bullies and mistreat the other nations, man. So yo, these nations are tired of the U.S., man. So if they get an opportunity, which they will, to take it out, they're gonna do that. They're gonna do that. And listen, America's gonna lose this war. World War III is clipped. America's done. It's finished. We're reading it here. This war is gonna be the last war America fighting, because after this, it's done. America's through. It's finished. It's gonna be wiped off the map. It's gonna be wiped off the map and be done with. All right. See if I have any closing thoughts. I guess I'll bring out Isaiah 13 and 19. It says, and Babylon, so this is not talking about ancient Babylon, it's talking about modern day Babylon, which is America, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the childish ecstasy. So America is like the capital of Esau Edom kingdom. All right, this is the capital. This is where, you know, this is the that golden city, as they like to call it. This is one of the greatest nation on earth. You know what I mean? As people, as it's been viewed for many years. You know, it continue on. It says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, right? Greatest nation on the world. We the, you know, best nation on the world, right? The beauty of the childish excellency, right? Because the Edomites that live in America, you know, they got it good here, real good, man, real good, real good, man. It's not till recently they suffering, but they got it real good, man. Really, really good. And the Edomites are your so-called YT people. Okay, and that could be for another lesson. Who are the Edomites and what is their judgment? For another time. But yeah, your Edomites are your so-called YT people. Okay, it says here in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when Yahweh by Shemawashah overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So when the Lord overthrew, when you go back to Genesis 19, right? Basically, the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah and them 5 neighboring cities by fire. So letting you know that America, which is modern day Babylon, is going to receive the same judgment as Sodom and Gomorrah did. It's going to be destroyed by fire, and it's going to be basically desolate. It's going to be nothing left. America's going to be burnt up, just like Sodom and Gomorrah was burnt up. It's America, this country, Babylon the Great, America is going to receive a horrific judgment from the Lord. It's going to be destroyed by way of fire, man. All right? In the same way, because the fire came out of heaven, man. So the fires this time is going to come out of heaven, but by way of thermonuclear fires. You get what I'm trying to say? The Lord is going to use the missiles that's going to be shot by NATO and the EU to destroy this place and burn it up. This is the judgment that's been written, and this is the will of the Lord. Because this is what the Lord deems right for this wicked ass country, man. And it's good, man. It's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Because this is an evil country. We never had it good here. As Israelites, we never had it good here, man. Never, never, never. Even the 2/3 that's lost and confused and don't know who they are, they never had it good here. We never had it good here, man. This is our punishment. This not our rest, man. This ain't our home. This our prison, man. Yo, we suffering here. We treated like dirt, like trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, this country, it did us foul, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that Michael Jackson song. All I want to say is that they don't care about it. They don't give a damn about Jake. You know what I'm saying? Esau don't care about us. This country, you know what I'm saying? It's not our rest, man. We just suffer here. That's all we do is suffer. So America, Salaki, Yahweh Shem Shah seem it fit to destroy this place by way of thermonuclear fire, man. And we're rejoicing and happy, right? So Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson. With that, give all honor and praise and glory to our power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Shah, Ba'ashem Hadash. Till next time I say, Shalom, strength in, Shalom.